That you start off in this science realm and then you end up in what one would have to say is a spiritual realm.
Well, it's really interesting, David, first of all, that you're raising all these incredible points. But, for me, what's been fascinating is to try to stay, I'm trained as a scientist, and these are fundamental science principles. So the first book I wrote, The Developing Mind, was just summarizing the science. This one extends the summary into more, proposals than any book I've ever written. But here's the idea. I have no background in spirituality, training as a youth or an adolescent, none basically. I have been trained as a clinician, so moving from pure science training, which I started at, to being a clinician was itself kind of a move to more about connection rather than intellectual comprehension. And those connections had and have a deep sense of meaning and purpose. And as I went forward, ultimately as a clinician and scientist and became an educator, those three things, I would be out in the world doing workshops and people would come to me from different traditions. Like I was once in northern Alaska and the head of the Inuit tribes came to me and she said, everything you've been talking about are what we've been teaching through the oral tradition for 5,000 years. And then I would teach somewhere else and someone from the Buddhist tradition would say, for 2,600 years, this is what the Buddhist tradition is. Or I would teach in the Midwest of the United States, the Lakota tradition, or I would be teaching in the South Pacific, and people from the Polynesian tradition would say, this is what we've been teaching for thousands of years. So for me, it was like, as a scientist, clinician, educator, it was like, wow. And then the strange thing that happened was, this is, I think, why I had to write the book in the way I did, these epochs of time. The strange thing that happened is I started getting these invitations to speak at spirituality and education conferences, spirituality and science conferences. And I had no background in spirituality. So I would say, I think you've made a mistake. I don't know anything about spirituality, zero. And in fact, I was kind of raised not to even use that word, which is true, So then I asked people in a workshop I was in, what is spirituality? And they said, oh, and they went around the room and everyone said the same thing. It's meaning beyond survival and connection beyond a separate self. And I said, is that what spirituality is, meaning and connection? They go, yeah, that's basically it. I said, oh my God, sign me up. And so when you say just now, oh, you've moved from science to spirituality, I find if it's about meaning and connection, that's exactly what the mind journey has been all about, is to find about meaning and connection.